Hey, it's Kaufman is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book, Ultimate Spider-Man, issue number 22 by Marvel Comics. This was a $4.99 book. Only 2 issues left until the final issue of this series. And I think that's been the main point of contention for most people about what's going on here. I think this series has been mostly set up, and here we are almost at the end, and it feels like we've just gotten going here in Ultimate Spider-Man. Personally, I don't want to see this series end. I want to keep living in this world with these characters and seeing where they go from here. Feels like we've just kind of scratched the surface on the relationships between like Peter and Otto Octavius, for example. Richard Parker, the son of Peter, has just formed a relationship with Felicia Hardy of this universe. Peter and Harry are best friends here, and I feel like we're building up to a moment where Harry eventually is going to turn on Peter and break Peter's heart. But with only 2 issues left, I don't know if we really have enough time to do all that. So there's so much more I feel like that they can do with this cast of characters. With only 2 issues left, it's just kind of disappointing. This issue skips ahead 3 months for the first time. We've been going month to month, but here we skip ahead, and we're in December here, and we see a Spider-Man jumping through the city here. It's a little confusing at first because, of course, Richard Parker's running around with the black Spider-Man suit, so at first you think this might be him. He's picking up some Chinese food. He says, "No soy sauce." I was very clear. And he says, "I hope so, because if it is in there, I'll be back." And then the guy goes, "Hey, wait, no tip." And then we see the Spider-Man jumping. He goes into the sewer here and going into this underground bunker. And then we see that it's actually a red suited Spider-Man. He says, "The depths to which I sink, hiding deep beneath the earth, beneath the great behemoth of the city, like something small and inferior, when I am so much more, when I am so very superior." So we see this is not actually Peter or Richard. This is actually Otto Octavius. And of course, he's helped create the Green Goblin suit and the Spider-Man suit as well. Made some adjustments to the original Stark tech. And he's created his own Spider-Man suit for himself here, or maybe this is the one Peter rejected from Otto. So Otto's taken it on to himself. So we get kind of a bit of a wink and a nod to Superior Spider-Man here, which I like. But again, this seems like this is setting up a whole new story arc that could go on for months and months. And unfortunately, it could get wrapped up pretty soon here. But we see that maybe Otto's not on the up and up, because we see the daughter of Peter and Mary Jane, May Parker here. She says, "I hope they didn't forget the soy sauce, because they always forget the soy sauce, and I love soy sauce." And Otto's saying, "I'm sure it's in there. I was very clear. I said there better be soy sauce in that bag or else," which of course is just a blatant lie. So kind of showing us that Otto has got his own motivations here. But he is trying to help Ben and J. Jonah Jameson get their story out about Wilson Fisk, and they've all gotten together here to have dinner together, so kind of like a big family get together, including even the Mole Man here with his little moloids, which is kind of funny. He was in the last issue trying to warn Peter about the Sinister Six. Kind of a weird bit. Jonah happens to have soy sauce on him. He says, just in case they forgot to put it in the bag. Who carries around soy sauce? Really? But we got Marco Checchetto doing the artwork on this book, and it's some awesome artwork. I mean, I really love these first few pages here of just Spider-Man jumping through the city. There's some snow, just the backgrounds here. This looks like some of the stuff he was doing in Moon Knight, some of the real dark stuff. I like the reflection, too, on Spider-Man's mask, that the Superior Spider-Man, it's got like the Otto Octavius kind of goggles on him there. I don't want to skip past this cover, too. I really love this variant cover by Torrin Clark. It's an awesome looking cover. Almost looks like sort of a movie poster, maybe. Or maybe like a almost, it just looks more highbrow than comic book. It just looks like really cool. This is the main cover here by the interior artist Marco Cicchetto. Another great cover with Spider-Man and Green Goblin. Doesn't tell us much about what's going on, but just a really solid drawing there. So Spider-Man and the Green Goblin teaming up here against all these bullseyes who are kind of like the putty people of the Sinister Six. Spider-Man saying, we've been smashing these guys for over a year. You think by now they'd have learned their lesson or gotten some new. And then right at that moment, we see there's a new wrinkle to their offense. And he's got this guy with a patch over his eye. He's got a laser eye. And it actually, Spider-Man misses and it hits Green Goblin there. And he actually apologizes. He said, that's on me. And then Harry goes, no problem. I've got upgrades of my own. And he's got this giant like shot grenade that takes all the guys out pretty easily here. And Peter's saying they got to get back to the dinner that's starting. And Harry says to go on without him. He's just going to stick around and make sure that they're all really out. All the bad guys are really out. And Peter says he'll see him there. And then he waits for Peter to leave. He gives the all clear. And then Norman Osborn, who's like the AI in his suit here, starts talking to him, telling him that he's proud of him for deceiving Peter. He says, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. And he's telling Harry that, or Harry says, I want him safe. There's nothing more to it. And then he says to Harry, of course, and why wouldn't you lie to him if all you're going to do is lie to yourself? So Harry has got some of his own plans here as well, just like Otto. So Otto creates this device that he tells Richard Parker here that is a device that will help disrupt the Maker's plans. He says, put this device in the right place and it will erase any existing, and more important than that, any future acquisition of information regarding your family. And Richard says, and you too, right? Naively. And Otto's like, of course, along with any of our other small number of allies. And the catch, he says, is that if there's only someone brave enough to do this, so he's trying to convince Richard to do this, because of course he doesn't want to do it himself. But Richard is on to Otto's plan, but Otto reveals that it's actually not Richard he wants to do this mission, but that he knows Richard knows somebody who does. Of course, he's talking about the Black Cat. So Peter finally shows up here. We get a little scene here with him and MJ, and we get this great splash page of him and MJ just kissing together here. So it's nice to see them together, maybe for the last time, considering what might be about to go down, because Peter says he's got a bad feeling that something bad is about to happen. So we got Felicia here, and Richard shows up, explains the plan, and she says she's definitely in. And then we see that the Green Goblin is here. He's staking out somebody who I assume to be Mr. Negative. They're trying to get some revenge on him, I think, although we're not exactly shown that for sure. But then we see all the Mysterios who have all combined into one Mysterio here, all 6 of them, with, of course, Gwen Stacy leading the way, Harry's wife. And he says, Harry, are you with me? With Harry looking not too sure about teaming up with this monstrosity that has become his wife and the Mysterios. So this whole issue's a lot of setup, really, it feels like, for the end, the big climax here to this series. But it was a pretty breezy read. I enjoyed the story, the little thing with the soy sauce and the intrigue into what Otto Octavius is doing is kind of interesting. There was a little bit of action in here with the bullseyes, which is kind of what you seem to get with each of these Ultimate Spider-Man books. There always seems to be just 1 or 2 pages of action, amongst a lot of dialogue and character developments. And that's what this issue is. That's what this whole series has been. But I did enjoy this issue, like I said. Some awesome artwork in here, even though it is just mostly a lot of people talking and a lot of setup to some, looks like, future confrontations. So, but I'm a big fan of Marco Checchetto's artwork, and Jonathan Hickman is a very solid writer, so I would recommend this issue, especially if you've been reading Ultimate Spider-Man, a pretty cool issue. I love this variant cover too, again by Torrin Clark. Well, thanks again for watching. Go check out my channel. I've got playlists set up of all my videos. I've got some long form videos. I got shorts. I've got Marvel previews I've covered. All sorts of things. Go check out my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Feel free to donate. There's a link in the description. Go read comics.